Hello and welcome back to the Commonwealth, everybody. Welcome back to the Wasteland of Fallout 4, where today we're going to be taking a look at our final pipe weapon. This is just the pipe gun. So this is going to be probably the most common of the pipe weapons. I tend to find this more often than pipe revolvers or pipe bolt actions. This is probably the most common weapon found throughout the entire Wasteland of Fallout 4, and unfortunately you can find it basically everywhere. In the early game, in the late game, in the mid game, pipe guns are everywhere on everybody. And I really wish that it was only for the early game that pipe guns were around. Raiders pretty much always have these. Super mutants pretty much always have these. Almost anybody in the Wasteland might be carrying around a pipe gun. And if you can't find a pipe gun on somebody, you could always buy one because every vendor sells them. And they're laying all over the Wasteland, so you can just collect them to your heart's content. So the pipe gun can be chambered in either 38 or in 45. Interestingly enough, I have heard that 38 has been kind of a typo where this was supposed to be 380, which would make a whole lot more sense for a pipe gun than 38, especially with 38 special, which I just assume it would be with 38. Either way, let's go over the stats of the pipe gun. So the pipe gun, at least the pipe pistol, which is what I'm going to be talking about here, because that's the most common and normal version of the pipe gun, but you can find pipe rifles or pipe pistols either way. This one does 13 damage per shot, 72 damage per second. It has 83 range, so actually pretty decent range. 57 accuracy, not the most accurate. Costs 30 action points to be using in VATS. Has a magazine of 12 regularly, however that can be extended with mods, and it weighs 2.3 weight. This is the pistol version of it. If you find a rifle, it's going to weigh more than this. The pipe gun is honestly decent statted for what it is. It has low base damage, but it has pretty good DPS because this is always semi-automatic or fully automatic if you get a full auto version of it, so it does shoot fairly fast. For the general pros of the pipe gun, this one does have super common ammo. The 38 rounds are probably the most common round that you're going to be finding in Fallout 4. Pretty much every vendor sells them. With every enemy carrying around pipe guns, you can just pick up the pipe guns and take the bullets right out of them, so that certainly helps with this too. This is an early game weapon, which is good, I guess. I wish it was only an early game weapon, but if you do manage to get pipe guns, which you will be able to in the early game, they will probably be your go-to standard gun for quite a while just because the ammo is so common. And they are fairly versatile, which is kind of nice. Since this can be semi-automatic or fully automatic, this does cover a range of roles that this could fit in. Whether you want a semi-automatic pistol or a semi-automatic rifle or a fully automatic submachine gun or assault rifle type weapon, you can go for that, and it's actually not very hard to make that really early on. For the major cons of this one is ugly, just like all the pipe weapons. This one in particular is extremely ugly. I do not like the look of the pipe gun or the pipe bolt action because they use the same model. The pipe revolver I'm okay with looking at, but this one just is not one of my favorite guns, and it's going to fall off later. In 38, this gun, you could argue, doesn't really fall off because it's not in competition with a whole lot of other weapons, at least weapons that can do kind of the same job, since it's going to be pretty much the premier fully automatic 38 gun. There are some other versions of weapons that can do more damage per shot with this, like the hunting rifle or the pipe revolver, but neither of those really matter. Damage per shot doesn't really matter for a gun like this. 45, I would just say avoid. There's no real reason to be going with the 45 version of the pipe gun. Yes, it technically does do the most amount of damage, so if you want to have the most damage on a pipe gun, that would be the way to do it. And if you were doing like a pipe gun only run, sure, it would be fine. If you're doing any other run, though, the regular combat rifle uses 45 for some reason, and the Tommy gun also uses 45, and if you get a good Tommy gun, like the spray and pray, that would be a better use of it. For perks that affect this, depending on how you want to build it, Gunslinger's going to affect pistols, Rifleman's going to affect rifles, and Commando's going to affect fully automatic versions of these. So this one is pretty flexible, just whatever build you're going for, or whatever build you're going for first. If you're going to go with the semi-automatic pistol build, Gunslinger is going to be the way to go. Semi-automatic rifle is Rifleman. Fully automatic submachine gun or assault rifle is going to be Commando. For an overall rating for the pipe gun, this is actually a pretty decent weapon in terms of actual in-game stats because it is just so common to get these. So I'm going to put the pipe gun into C tier. It's actually okay for the starting game. It will fall off later, but for the starting game, and if you got an excess of ammo, it's actually quite good. Let's talk about a modified version of the pipe gun now, and I'm going to be doing this in two different modifications. One for a pistol / submachine gun role, and one for a rifle / assault rifle role. You can switch these to be either semi-automatic or fully automatic. I would just recommend that you go with fully automatic with the pipe gun though. The ammo is super common. At least that's the way I kind of enjoy using them the most. So for attachments, either go with a calibrated powerful receiver if you're going to be going with a semi-automatic version, whether that be pistol or rifle. I think that is the best. 45 once again is the most damage, but I don't think it's worth it for the ammo. If you're going to go with fully automatic, either go with the armor piercing or go with the powerful full auto receiver. Powerful will get you more damage, at least towards non-armored enemies. Armor piercing is going to break through a certain amount of armor, so that's going to be better against armored enemies. Just pick which one of these you feel is going to be the best for you. There's not really a bad option here for those three. For a barrel, I would either go with a short light barrel or a long light barrel. If I'm going with a rifle, long light barrel. If I'm going with the pistol or submachine gun build, probably a short light barrel. This gives you better accuracy, can give you better hip fire, and it doesn't really add much weight to the pipe gun. For a stock, go with either the sharpshooter's grip if you're using this as a pistol / submachine gun, or use the recoil compensating stock if you're going to be using this as a rifle / assault rifle, or I guess just a stocked submachine gun too, whatever you want to call it. For a magazine, I would just recommend going with the quick eject drum magazine. This one gives you the most amount of shots, and since I like using this in full auto, I'm just going to be using it there. If you want to be using this in semi-auto, it's your choice as to which magazine you want. 12 shots may not be enough, and you might want to go with the large magazine. I think that takes you up to 24. Good should be plenty, and it won't weigh you down too much. I like the quick eject drum, though, just because we get the most amount of bullets. For sights, you can pick whatever sights you would like. Technically, scopes are the best, since you can get more damage thanks to one of the magazines. But I like going with the glow sights here, because generally I'm using this like a submachine gun or assault rifle. I don't really want to be ADSing with the scope the entire time. I just want to be spraying this from the hip, or sometimes ADSing with just regular open sights. And then for a muzzle attachment, I would recommend a suppressor. That's going to be the best option, especially if you go with the operator's perk. If you're not going with that, though, any of them are fine. The compensator and the muzzle brake are also pretty decent. You may also not want to go with the suppressor for this because it does block your front sight. Not that that's a huge deal with a weapon like this, because again, if you're using it like hip firing most of the time, you don't really need to be ADSing that much. For an overall rating for this pipe gun, both the pistol and rifle version I would still put into C tier. It's still decent. It still does kind of fall off later compared to other weapons, especially unique weapons. You can find unique versions of the pipe gun, but there's none that you can buy, none that you get from quests. So be on the lookout for those. If you get one that has a good effect, especially if you get like explosive or bleed or anything that's just kind of game breaking like those ones, put it into a fully automatic gun and it's going to be really strong. It's going to be top tier. And that'll do it for the pipe gun. A very common weapon found all throughout the Wasteland. Definitely not one of my favorites. How do you guys feel about the pipe gun? How do you enjoy building it as well? And what kind of legendary effects have you found on yours? Because that's always fun to talk about. Thank you guys so very much for watching this. Hope that you guys enjoyed it. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.